The large doors of the Galactic Council chamber opened with a soft hiss. Ambassador Jack Morris walked in with steady steps. His face showed no fear, though inside his heart beat fast. 5 years since humans joined the Council was not long in galactic terms. Many species had been members for hundreds or even thousands of years. Jack straightened his blue uniform as he approached the speaking platform. The huge room was shaped like a bowl, with seats for over 200 different alien species. Some looked almost human. Others were so strange that Jack still found it hard not to stare. Floating gas clouds, crystal beings, and creatures that seemed made of pure light. All were part of this grand alliance. "The human ambassador will now address the emergency session," announced the council speaker, a tall being with pale blue skin and 4 arms. Jack nodded and stepped forward. On the large screen behind him appeared images of destruction. A human outpost near Ta City was now just floating debris. Over 3,000 people had died when it was attacked yesterday. "Honored representatives," Jack began, his voice calm despite the tension in the room. "For 5 years, humanity has been a peaceful member of this council. We have followed your rules. We have shared our culture. We have tried to be good neighbors." He paused and looked around the chamber. Many of the alien representatives shifted uncomfortably. "During this time, the Arvani Empire has tested our borders, destroyed our ships, and now attacked our colony. They claim these are accidents or the work of pirates. We know differently." A large being covered in red scales hissed from across the chamber. Ambassador Skavar of the Arvani Empire stood up, his massive form towering over the smaller representatives near him. "Humans exaggerate," Skavar said in a rumbling voice. "Your colony was destroyed by a meteor strike. Our scientists have proof." Jack didn't flinch. He simply pressed a button on his control pad. New images appeared on the screen, recordings from a small probe that had survived the attack. They clearly showed Arvani warships firing on the defenseless colony. "The evidence is clear," Jack said. "The Arvani Empire believes we are weak because we are new to the stars. They think they can push us, and we will only complain to the Council. They are wrong." The chamber grew very quiet. This was not how these meetings usually went. Normally, a wronged species would ask for sanctions or council mediation. Humanity did not come to the stars to be conquered, Jack continued. "We come from a world where we had to fight for everything. We hope those days were behind us, but we are not afraid of conflict." Jack pressed another button. A formal document appeared on every representative's display screen. "By the authority given to me by the government of Earth and all human colonies, I am formally declaring a state of war between humanity and the Arvani Empire." The chamber erupted in shock. Nothing like this had happened in over 700 years of council history. Minor conflicts happened, but formal declarations of war had been considered primitive and outdated. Skavar laughed, a booming sound that echoed through the chamber. "You humans are even more foolish than we thought. Our empire spans 50 star systems. Your forces will be crushed in days." Jack simply smiled. "Perhaps, but I think you'll find humans are full of surprises." From the back of the chamber, Lieutenant Samantha Wright watched with a small smile. As Earth's military attaché, she knew what the Arvani did not. Humanity had been preparing for this moment since they first detected Arvani ships testing their borders. The Galactic Council might see humans as newcomers, barely understanding their place among the stars. But humans had been warriors long before they were diplomats. And now, the Arvani would learn exactly what that meant. Chaos filled the council chamber. Ambassadors shouted over each other, while the speaker tried to restore order. Some representatives had already left their seats to form small groups, discussing what the Human Declaration meant for the galaxy. Ambassador Jack Morris stood calmly at the center of the storm. He waited as the noise slowly died down. The council speaker finally managed to quiet the room by activating a soft but persistent tone that made further shouting difficult. "This is highly irregular," the speaker said, 4 arms moving in patterns that showed distress. "The council exists to prevent war, not to host declarations of it. Ambassador Morris, surely there are diplomatic solutions we can pursue. Jack shook his head. We tried diplomacy for 2 years. During that time, the Arvani destroyed 3 of our scout ships, claiming navigational errors. They harvested resources from 2 of our claimed systems, calling it a misunderstanding of borders. Now they have killed 3,000 civilians. Diplomacy has failed. The Arvani ambassador HFY War made a sound that might have been laughter. Humans know nothing of war on a galactic scale. Your species has barely left its home system. The Arvani ruled stars before your ancestors discovered fire. Jack nodded to Lieutenant Samantha Wright, who stepped forward with a datapad. Her brown uniform was crisp, her blonde hair tied back tightly. She had the look of someone who was finally able to reveal a long-held secret. The Galactic Council assessed human military capabilities when we joined 5 years ago, Samantha said, her voice clear and strong. That assessment was allowed to stand uncorrected. She pressed a button on her pad. The main screen showed a star map of human territory, just Earth and 7 colony worlds. Then the image changed, revealing dozens of small dots scattered throughout supposedly empty space near human territory. For the past 4 years, we have been building, Samantha continued, hidden stations, shipyards, training facilities. We currently have a fleet of 217 warships that were not part of your assessment. The chamber grew silent again, but this time from shock rather than any electronic aid. Impossible, said HFY War. Our intelligence would have detected such activity. Jack smiled slightly. Your intelligence has been watching exactly what we wanted you to watch. Lieutenant Wright, please continue. Samantha changed the display again. We have also been studying Arvani military tactics from every available source. Your standard formation patterns, your command structure, your weapons capabilities. We know how you fight, High Commander HFY War. A ripple went through the council at the use of HFY War's military title rather than his diplomatic one. Samantha had just revealed she knew the Arvani ambassador's true role, a military commander pretending to be a diplomat. An elder representative from the Muldari species, a race known for their long memory, stood slowly from his seat. Is this true, HFY War? Are you a military commander rather than a properly appointed ambassador? HFY War's scales darkened with anger. This is human trickery. They seek to distract from their foolish declaration. Actually, Jack said, we're just getting started. While we've been talking, human forces have moved into position around 3 Arvani military outposts near our border. The attacks begin in 1 hour. The council erupted again. The speaker's calming tone could barely be heard over the noise. A thin, gray-skinned representative approached Jack privately while the chaos continued. Ambassador Morris, said the alien in a whisper, I am Turval of the Xilani. My people have suffered Arvani aggression for generations. We may have mutual interests to discuss. Jack nodded slightly. My office, 2 hours from now. Meanwhile, on the edge of human space, Captain Lisa Rodriguez sat in the command chair of the Earth Ship Defender. Around her, a fleet of 40 ships waited in perfect formation, hidden in the shadow of a large moon. On her screen was the countdown clock. 58 minutes until humanity showed the galaxy it would not be pushed aside. The council meeting ended in disorder. Many representatives rushed to contact their governments about the sudden change in galactic politics. Others stayed behind, forming small groups to debate what this human declaration meant for the balance of power. Jack Morris walked quickly down the curved hallway leading from the council chamber. Lieutenant Samantha Wright kept pace beside him. Do you think they believed us? She asked quietly. It doesn't matter if they believe us, Jack replied. In less than an hour, they'll see the truth. As they reached the human embassy offices, a message arrived from Earth. Admiral John Bennett's face appeared on the screen, his gray beard neatly trimmed and his eyes sharp. Ambassador, the defense fleet is activated. All ships report ready status. The Admiral paused. Are you sure about this timeline? We could delay if you need more time with the Council. Jack shook his head. No delays, Admiral. The Arvani need to understand we're serious. Captain Rodriguez has her orders. In another part of the huge space station that housed the Galactic Council, representatives from 7 species met in a private room. They were all from smaller worlds, and all had faced Arvani pressure over the years. Can the humans actually fight the Arvani? Asked a bird-like being with bright green feathers. Impossible, said another with 6 eyes arranged in a circle. The Arvani war fleet has over 1,000 ships. But the humans seem so confident, said a third, whose body glowed with soft blue light. What if they know something we don't? Meanwhile, in the darkness of space near an Arvani border outpost, Captain Lisa Rodriguez checked her ship's systems one final time. The Defender was the newest class of human warship, built in secret and equipped with technology the humans had kept hidden from the Council assessment. All ships report ready, Captain, said her first officer, Paul Harris. His dark skin seemed to reflect the red alert lights on the bridge. Remind all captains, Lisa said, non-military targets are to be avoided at all costs. We're making a point, not starting a massacre. Paul nodded and relayed the order. Lisa looked at the countdown clock. 5 minutes remaining. Back at the Council station, HFY War stormed into the Arvani embassy, his scales now almost black with rage. His aides backed away, sensing his dangerous mood. Contact the fleet, he bellowed. Warn all border outposts. The humans are planning something. One aide stepped forward nervously. High Commander, we've been trying to contact Border Station 3 for the past 10 minutes. They're not responding. HFY War froze. What do you mean, not responding? Before the aide could answer, the communication screen activated. An Arvani officer appeared, his face showing clear fear. High Commander, we're under attack. Human ships appeared from nowhere. Our sensors didn't detect them until they were firing. They've disabled our main weapons already and... The screen went dead. At that same moment, Jack Morris was meeting with Terval of the Xelani in the human embassy. The thin, gray alien leaned forward. For 300 years, my people have suffered Arvani raids on our outer colonies, Terval said. They take our resources and kill any who resist, but we are not strong enough to fight back. And now you think humans might help? Jack asked. Terval nodded slowly. If you are truly fighting the Arvani, the Xelani would consider an alliance, and I believe others in the Council might join as well. Jack smiled. That's exactly what we hoped for. In the Council chamber, an emergency session was called as news of the human attacks reached the representatives. The speaker tried to maintain order as reports came in from 3 different Arvani outposts. All had been attacked simultaneously. All had been disabled with surprising speed. The humans used technology we've never seen before, reported an Arvani officer on the main screen. Their weapons cut through our shields like they weren't there. But they only targeted military systems. They left life support and civilian areas untouched. Many representatives exchanged surprised looks. Precise attacks that avoided civilian casualties were not the savage behavior they expected from such a young species. The Council was beginning to realize that humans were not what they had seemed to be. 3 months passed. The war between humans and the Arvani Empire spread across several star systems. What the Arvani expected to be a quick victory had turned into a frustrating series of defeats. In a secure room deep inside Earth's military headquarters, Dr. Alan Foster showed his latest invention to Admiral Bennett and a group of officers. Alan was a tall man with wild gray hair and bright eyes that showed his excitement. This shield technology absorbs Arvani energy weapons completely, Alan explained, pointing to a small device on the table. We can now protect our ships from their main weapons. Admiral Bennett nodded, his face serious. And not a moment too soon. The Arvani are getting desperate. They've started targeting civilian colonies. Across the room, Major Frank Collins stood up. His uniform showed dust and signs of recent battle. He had just returned from the front lines. New Terra colony needs these shields immediately, Frank said, his voice rough from lack of sleep. The Arvani have sent 3 attack fleets toward the colony. We're outnumbered 5-1. Admiral Bennett looked at the star map on the wall. New Terra was their largest colony, with over 1 million people. Losing it would be a terrible blow. Major Collins, I'm sending you back with a special team. You'll take Dr. Foster's new shields and lead the defense of New Terra. At the Galactic Council, more emergency meetings were held almost daily. Many species now openly supported the humans, providing supplies, intelligence, and even some ships. Others remained neutral, worried about choosing the losing side in this conflict. Ambassador Jack Morris addressed the council again, looking more tired than before, but still standing tall. The Arvani have attacked New Terra colony, where families and children live. They claim to be a civilized empire, but they target those who cannot fight back. The Arvani representative, not Skivar, who had been recalled to lead military forces, hissed angrily. Humans hide military bases among their civilians. They deserve whatever happens. A new voice spoke up. It belonged to Krell, representative of the Boleri, a species that had stayed neutral until now. My government has studied this conflict carefully, Krell said, his purple skin reflecting the chamber's lights. The humans fight with honor, targeting military installations while protecting civilian lives. The Arvani do the opposite. The Boleri will now provide support to the humans and their allies. More and more species were choosing sides. The war that the Council tried to prevent was now pulling everyone into its gravity. Near New Terra, Major Frank Collins watched from the command center as the massive Arvani fleet approached. Around him, workers rushed to install Dr. Foster's shield devices throughout the colony. Will they be ready in time? Asked Olivia Grant, the colony's leader. Her face showed the fear all colonists felt. They have to be, Frank answered. He looked at the tactical display. The colony had only 20 ships for defense. Against them came over 100 Arvani warships. Frank opened a channel to all ships and defense stations. This is Major Collins. I know we're outnumbered. I know the odds look bad. But we have something the Arvani don't understand. We're fighting for our homes, our families. And now we have the technology to match their weapons. Hold your positions. Help is coming. As he finished speaking, alarms sounded. The Arvani fleet had arrived and was launching its first wave of attacks. On the Arvani command ship, Fleet Commander Skivar watched with satisfaction. Begin bombardment of the main colony centers. Show these humans the cost of defying the Empire. His weapons officer pressed the firing controls. Massive energy beams shot toward the colony. Everyone expected destruction. Instead, the beams hit an invisible barrier and simply disappeared. Dr. Foster's shields were working. Frank Collins smiled for the first time in days. Now, he said quietly, let's show them what humans can do when backed into a corner. The battle for New Terra had begun, and with it, perhaps the turning point of the war. The Galactic Council chamber was filled to capacity. Representatives from all 217 member species attended this critical vote. After 5 months of war between humans and the Arvani, the Council could no longer remain divided. Ambassador Jack Morris stood at the center of the chamber. His blue uniform now had several new medals, signs of the ongoing conflict. Behind him stood representatives from 32 species who had already allied with humanity. Today you must choose, Jack said, his voice carrying to every corner of the room. The Arvani Empire has violated Council laws for centuries. They have attacked peaceful worlds, stolen resources, and killed innocents. Humanity chose to fight back, and now we ask the Council to stand with us. The Arvani representative, a new diplomat named Krelvax, stood to respond. Humans are warmongers. They attacked without proper Council permission. They used forbidden technologies. They should be punished, not supported. The Council speaker called for order as shouts filled the chamber. When quiet returned, an unexpected figure approached the speaking platform. It was Elm Verrill, ambassador of the Meldari. The Meldari were one of the oldest species in the galaxy, but they rarely spoke at council meetings. Their tall, slender forms and silvery skin gave them an almost ghostly appearance. "The Meldari have watched in silence for too long," Elnveril said, her voice soft but clear. "We encountered the Arvani 10,000 years ago. They were aggressive then as they are now. We chose isolation rather than conflict. This was our mistake." The chamber grew completely silent. The Meldari never shared their history. "The Arvani will never stop expanding," Elnveril continued. "They see other species as resources to be used, not equals to be respected. The humans have done what we should have done long ago. They have stood against tyranny." As the Meldari ambassador returned to her seat, Commander Susan Blackwell entered the chamber and hurried to Jack's side. Susan headed human security at the council station. Her face was serious as she whispered something in Jack's ear. Jack's expression darkened. He stepped forward again. "Honored representatives, Commander Blackwell has discovered something disturbing. We have proof that Arvani agents have infiltrated the council itself." Gasps and murmurs filled the room. Jack nodded to Susan, who activated the main screen. Images appeared showing several council staff members meeting secretly with Arvani officials. One of those staff members was the assistant to the council speaker. "These infiltrators have been passing information to the Arvani for years," Susan explained. "They have influenced council decisions and helped hide Arvani violations of council law." The council erupted in angry shouts and accusations. Security teams quickly moved to detain the identified infiltrators. As the chaos continued, a special communication came through on the main screen. It was Laura Hayes, President of Earth. Her face was strong and determined. "Honored representatives of the Galactic Council," she began. "What Ambassador Morris and Commander Blackwell have revealed today is only part of the truth. I must now share something that has been kept secret even from most humans." The room grew quiet again, all eyes on the screen. 300 years ago, before humanity joined the stars, we were visited by aliens who attacked several of our cities. We fought them off, but never knew who they were. When we joined the council and saw the Arvani, we recognized them. President Hayes paused to let this sink in. "The Arvani have been testing species for centuries, attacking those who seem weak, leaving alone those who fight back. They tested humans and found us stronger than expected. Now they try again, thinking their full strength will overwhelm us. They are wrong." The council chamber remained silent as the implications became clear. The Arvani had violated the most sacred council law: no interference with pre-spaceflight civilizations. Jack looked around the chamber. "Now you must vote. Will the council stand with humanity against the Arvani threat, or will you allow this empire of conquest to continue unchallenged?" The vote was about to begin, and the future of the galaxy hung in the balance. Alarms blared throughout the Sol system. On Earth, in orbit, and on every human colony, red alert warnings flashed on screens. The Arvani had launched their biggest attack yet, a direct assault on humanity's home system. Admiral John Bennett stood on the bridge of the flagship Guardian, looking at the tactical display. Around Neptune's orbit, a line of human ships and vessels from allied species formed a defensive wall. Behind them was Earth, the blue-green jewel of human civilization. "They're coming in fast," said his second-in-command, Captain Greg Martinez. "Over 200 Arvani warships, including their dreadnought." Admiral Bennett nodded grimly. "They're desperate. The council vote went against them, and now more species join our side every day." The vote at the Galactic Council had been close, but in the end, 60% of species had voted to officially sanction the Arvani and support the human-led coalition. Now the Arvani were striking back, hoping to end the war by attacking Earth directly. On a smaller ship near the front of the defensive line, Lieutenant Kevin Russell checked his systems one last time. His vessel, the Scout, was fast but lightly armed, not meant for direct combat with larger ships. "Lieutenant, are you sure about this plan?" asked his pilot, Diane Miller. Her hands were steady on the controls, but her voice showed concern. Kevin nodded. I've studied the Arvani flagship design. There's a weakness in their shield configuration. If we hit it just right, we can create an opening for our main fleet. What Kevin didn't say was that such a close approach would likely mean the scout wouldn't survive. But if it worked, it could save Earth. The Arvani fleet appeared at the edge of the system, dropping out of faster-than-light travel in a flash of blue light. At their center was the massive dreadnought, a ship 5 times larger than anything humans had built. Admiral Bennett opened a channel to all ships. This is it. Everything we fought for comes down to this battle. Remember your training. Remember what we're protecting. Begin Operation Hammer. Human ships moved forward in a new formation the Arvani had never seen before. Instead of the standard defensive line most species used, the human ships formed small, tight groups that could move quickly and support each other. On the Arvani dreadnought, High Commander Skavar watched with confusion. What are they doing? This is not a standard combat formation. His tactical officer shook his head. Unknown, High Commander. Our battle computers cannot predict their strategy. Skavar hissed in frustration. It doesn't matter. Begin the attack pattern. Target their largest ships first. The space between Neptune and Uranus lit up with weapons fire. Energy beams and plasma torpedoes crossed the void. Ships on both sides took damage, but the human ships and their allies had Dr. Foster's shield technology, giving them protection the Arvani hadn't expected. Meanwhile, on another ship, communications specialist Olivia Grant worked frantically at her console. For months, she had been studying Arvani communication patterns, looking for a way into their battle network. Just a few more seconds, she muttered as her fingers flew across the keyboard. Almost there. Her screen flashed green. Got it. I'm in their network. Olivia's captain immediately contacted Admiral Bennett. Sir, Grant has accessed the Arvani battle network. We can disrupt their communications. This was the moment they had been waiting for. Admiral Bennett gave the order. Begin electronic warfare. Cut them off from each other. Across the Arvani fleet, confusion spread as ships lost contact with their commanders. Pre-planned attack formations fell apart as captains lost their coordination. At that critical moment, Lieutenant Kevin Russell piloted the scout directly toward the Arvani dreadnought. Full speed, Diane. Take us right at their central power node. The small human ship dodged through the chaos of battle, taking hits but staying on course. As they approached the massive Arvani flagship, Kevin activated all weapons. Fire everything we have at these coordinates. The scout's weapons hit a specific point on the dreadnought's hull. For a moment, nothing happened. Then a flicker appeared in the Arvani ship shields, a small gap, just as Kevin had predicted. All ships, Admiral Bennett called. Target the dreadnought's weak point. Fire now. The combined fire of 30 human and allied ships struck the weak point in the Arvani dreadnought's shields. A massive explosion tore through the giant ship's side. It didn't destroy the vessel, but the damage was severe. The Arvani flagship began to drift, its main weapons offline. Lieutenant Kevin Russell's scout ship spun away from the explosion, badly damaged but somehow still intact. We did it, Kevin said quietly, looking at the wounded dreadnought on his view screen. Then he turned to his pilot. Diane, status report. Diane Miller checked her controls. Engines at 20%. Life support holding. We took a beating, but we'll live. She looked at Kevin with new respect. Your plan worked. Across the battlefield, the human forces pressed their advantage. With the Arvani flagship damaged and their communications disrupted by Olivia Grant's hacking, the once mighty fleet fell into disarray. Many Arvani ships began to retreat, jumping away to faster-than-light travel. On the Guardian, Admiral Bennett allowed himself a small smile. Send the message to Earth. The Arvani fleet is withdrawing. We held the line. Cheers erupted on every human ship. They had defended their home. 2 weeks later, Ambassador Jack Morris stood once again before the Galactic Council. This time, he wasn't alone. Dr. Michelle Parker stood beside him, a small woman with intense eyes and short black hair. She was Earth's leading expert on ancient languages and history. Honored representatives, Jack began. The battle for Earth was won, but the war continues. Today, Dr. Parker will show you why this conflict is about more than just humanity and the Arvani. Michelle stepped forward. Behind her, the main screen displayed images of ancient stone tablets and strange symbols. For the past year, I've been studying mournings left by extinct civilizations, Michelle explained. These messages were found on dead worlds throughout the galaxy, worlds where all life mysteriously vanished. She touched her control pad, and the images changed to show translations of the ancient writings. These messages all tell the same story. They'd warn about conquerors who came from the stars, conquerors who first sent scouts, then returned with armadas, conquerors who enslaved entire species. Michelle paused. The descriptions matched the Arvani perfectly. The council chamber was completely silent. Michelle continued, showing more evidence from 12 different extinct civilizations. The Arvani have been doing this for thousands of years, she concluded. They find new species, test their defenses, then either conquer them or destroy them completely if they resist too strongly. Ambassador Morris stepped forward again. We now have proof that the Arvani have conquered at least 23 species that once had their own civilizations. Their populations now serve as slaves on Arvani worlds, their identities and cultures erased. A new figure entered the council chamber. It was Captain George Wilson, his uniform showing signs of recent battle. He carried a datapad with him. 2 days ago, George said, my team discovered something alarming on an abandoned Arvani base. They were building a weapon capable of destroying an entire planet. The target coordinates were set for Earth. Displays showed technical details of the superweapon. Even species that had remained neutral gasped at the destructive power it represented. At the same time, in a different part of the galaxy, a small stealth ship approached the Arvani homeworld. Commander Eric Johnson led a team of special forces on a dangerous mission. Their goal: to gather intelligence from the heart of the enemy territory. Eric looked at his team. We go in quiet. We find their central data core. We learn everything we can about their defense systems and slave worlds. His second-in-command, Sergeant Amy Peterson, checked her equipment, and if we're discovered, Eric's face was grim. Then we make sure the information gets back to Earth, whatever it takes. Their ship slipped past the Arvani defenses, cloaked with technology based on what humans had learned during the war. As they landed in a remote area, Eric knew their mission could change everything. Back at the council, a final vote was being taken. After seeing all the evidence, even formerly neutral species now supported action against the Arvani. The vote was nearly unanimous. The Arvani Empire was officially condemned, and the full forces of the Galactic Council would join with humanity to end their reign of conquest. 6 months later, a massive fleet gathered near the Arvani home system. Ships from over 100 species formed the largest military force the galaxy had ever seen. At its center were human vessels, leading the final push against the Arvani Empire. On the bridge of the Guardian, now repaired and upgraded, Admiral Bennett reviewed the battle plan one last time. Beside him stood representatives from the major allied species. The intelligence from Commander Johnson's team was perfect, said Admiral Bennett, pointing to the tactical display. We know exactly where their defense systems are weakest. Commander Eric Johnson himself stood nearby. His team had returned from their mission with critical information, though 2 of his people hadn't made it back. Their sacrifice had made this final assault possible. Their slave worlds are here, here, and here, Eric said, indicating several planets in the system. Our first priority is to secure those worlds and free the people. The attack began at dawn, measured by the Arvani homeworld's time. The combined fleet jumped into the system at 12 different points, confusing the Arvani defenses. Unlike previous galactic conflicts, which often dragged on for decades, this war would end quickly and decisively. On the Galactic Council station, Ambassador Jack Morris addressed the full council one final time. His uniform now bore the marks of his new title, Earth's first Galactic Security Director. "Today marks the end of the Arvani threat," Jack said, "but it also marks the beginning of something new. For too long, the Council has believed that peace means avoiding conflict at all costs. We've learned this isn't true. Sometimes, you must fight to protect peace." Jack displayed a proposal on the main screen. It outlined a new security doctrine for the Galactic Council. At its heart was a mutual defense agreement and a rapid response force that could protect any member world from aggression. "Humanity didn't want this war," Jack continued, "but we've learned from it. And now we offer what we've learned to help build a safer galaxy for all species." As Jack spoke, the battle in the Arvani system reached its climax. The Arvani government, seeing defeat was certain, surrendered unconditionally. High Commander Skavar was captured trying to escape in a small ship. Lieutenant Samantha Wright, now promoted to colonel, led the teams that secured the Arvani central government building. Inside, they found records of thousands of years of conquest and enslavement. "Begin the liberation immediately," Samantha ordered her forces. "Every enslaved person is to be freed and given medical attention. Document everything you find." On a small planet in the system, Lieutenant Kevin Russell, his arm still in a sling from injuries suffered during the Battle of Earth, helped open the massive doors of a labor camp. Inside were members of a species thought to be extinct for centuries. Their blue skin was pale from lack of sunlight, but their eyes showed hope for the first time in generations. "You're free now," Kevin told them simply. "The Arvani can't hurt you anymore." 1 month later, representatives from all council species gathered on Earth for a memorial ceremony. A monument had been built to honor those who died in the conflict, both human and alien. Ambassador Jack Morris, now the head of the new Galactic Defense Coalition, stood with Turval of the Xilani as they placed ceremonial wreaths at the base of the monument. "We lost many good people," Jack said quietly. Turval nodded. "But because of their sacrifice, countless others will live in freedom." After the ceremony, Jack met with his team to discuss the future. The Arvani Empire had collapsed completely. Former Arvani subject worlds were forming their own governments. The galaxy was changing rapidly. "Our work is just beginning," Jack told them. "We need to help these worlds rebuild. Make sure the peace we fought for lasts." Olivia Grant, whose hacking skills had helped win the Battle of Earth, smiled. "Who would have thought? 6 years ago, humans were just joining the Galactic Council. Now we're leading it." Jack shook his head. "Not leading. Helping. There's a difference." On a former Arvani colony world, now free for the first time in 1,000 years, citizens lined up to vote in their first election. Human advisors stood nearby, offering guidance but not interfering. Among the observers was Dr. Michelle Parker, who had helped reveal the truth about the Arvani. As she watched the newly freed people celebrate their right to choose their own leaders, Michelle thought about how everything had changed. A war that began with a shocking declaration in the council chamber had ended with a new era of galactic cooperation. The galaxy would never be the same again, and humanity had found its place among the stars.